This house belongs to your sister. You get nothing. That was the last thing my father said to me as my mother stood by, arms folded, nodding like it was some divine decree. Then came the final blow. It's time for you to leave. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just turned, placed my hand on the doorknob, and shut the door quietly behind me, as if closing a chapter one never asked to be part of. My name is Lena Carter, and from wherever you're watching this, stay with me. Have you ever been erased while you were still in the room? It wasn't a surprise, not really. I should have seen it coming the moment Mom started referring to my sister, Dana, as the smart one. The one who stayed close to family. Translation: the one who never left the house, never worked a day in her life, and knew how to smile sweetly while planting a knife in your back. The house was my grandfather's, passed down through sweat, taxes, and bloodline. He raised me there after my parents ditched me for alone time. And when he passed, I stayed behind. I paid the property tax, repaired the roof, even dug up the backyard myself when the soul line collapsed. But now, suddenly, I was a guest being evicted. I packed a single bag, didn't ask for details, didn't look back. I checked into a cheap motel on the edge of town, paid $120 for 2 nights up front with what was left on my debit card, and stared at the ceiling until morning. 48 hours later, my phone rang. Blocked number. I knew who it was. I answered and was met with screaming. Lena! What the hell did you do? Mom's voice was shaking. The account, your dad's account, it's gone. All of it. Every damn cent. I blinked. You sure it's not just a mistake? Don't you play dumb with me. We checked. $214,000 vanished overnight. I almost smiled. See, what they didn't know was that 2 years ago, when I bailed them out of a tax audit, I had myself quietly added as a joint holder on their liquid trust account, just in case something happens, I had said. Back then, they were desperate. Now, they were exposed, and I hadn't touched a cent, yet. But I did do something else. Something quiet. Something simple. I triggered the fraud protection alert. And when I did, the account locked, frozen completely. Because while they were busy cutting me out of their future, I was quietly safeguarding what I had helped build in the past. And now, they were locked out of everything they thought they owned. This wasn't revenge. This was justice. Strategic, surgical, silent. And it was only just beginning. The motel's ceiling had more cracks than my parents' integrity. I lay there, phone still warm in my hand, listening to the chaos on the other end. My mother shouting, my father in the background cursing, Dana wailing like a banshee about her credit card being declined at brunch. I didn't say a word. I just let them scream. And then I hung up, because sometimes silence hits harder than 1,000 I told you so's. They thought they were clever, rewriting the will behind my back, transferring property deeds without so much as a conversation. They never even told me Grandpa's will had been contested. Turns out Dana had convinced them I was unstable, that I had abandoned the family, that I was only around when I needed something. Funny, I was the one paying their damn property taxes while Dana maxed out credit cards on wellness retreats. But this wasn't about fairness anymore. It was about balance. They'd tipped the scale. I was here to break it. I opened my old laptop, cracked and slow but still full of memories and documents. I pulled up the shared trust paperwork from 2 years ago. There it was. My signature. Their signatures. My name, cleanly listed as co-owner, authorized access. Not a penny had been moved yet. But all I had to do was file an emergency fund transfer under the clause for financial negligence, and the account would shift to temporary single-holder status. For review, of course. I clicked submit, not for the money, but to send a message. You don't get to erase me and expect me to stay quiet. That afternoon, I walked down to a small legal aid office tucked between a vape shop and a pizza place. I'd never needed a lawyer before, but I needed one now. The The receptionist gave me a skeptical look. Maybe it was the motel hair or the 5-year-old hoodie. But I slid the papers across the counter. I need to contest a fraudulent property transfer, I said calmly. And I have proof. She looked at the documents, emails between my mother and Dana, timestamps showing when the property was reassigned, the trust signatures, and the photo of me fixing the busted foundation last fall, while Dana posed on Instagram in Tulum. Her eyebrows lifted. We'll get you an appointment. By nightfall, I got another call. This time from Dana. She didn't scream. She didn't even fake sweetness. She just hissed into the phone. You don't know what you've started. I leaned back on the motel pillow, stared at the popcorn ceiling, and replied, I know exactly what I started, but you have no idea how far I'll go to finish it. There's a difference between inheritance and entitlement. They thought they had both. What they didn't realize was, they raised a girl who knows how to dig trenches, survive betrayal, and keep records. The money was locked. The house title had been flagged, and by the time they realized how much control I still had, I was already 10 steps ahead. The next morning, I met with a legal aid attorney named Maya Lattimore, a sharp, no-nonsense woman who looked like she hadn't blinked in 20 years. She sat across from me in a small office with peeling paint and a buzzing fluorescent light, skimming my paperwork with surgical precision. She didn't say a word for 5 minutes. Then she looked up and said, Your family's screwed. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because someone finally said it out loud. Maya pointed at the trust documents. You were a co-owner, legally. That account was never just theirs. The freeze was within your rights. You may not even need to go to court if we play this smart. Then she held up the property reassignment form. But this? She tapped it. They forged this signature. I blinked. You're sure? She nodded. I've seen Dana's penmanship. Her social posts are full of calligraphy captions. This is the same flourish. This isn't your mom's writing. I felt it in my spine. The shift. The click. My sister didn't just accept the house. She forged the papers to take it before I could even see the will. This wasn't favoritism. This was fraud. By that afternoon, Maya had filed an injunction on the property, which meant Dana couldn't sell, renovate, or even refinance without it getting flagged. I knew Dana. She was probably in a bathrobe somewhere, planning to flip the house into a weekend Airbnb. Not anymore. By 6 p.m., I got the first unhinged text. Dana, WTF did you do? Some lawyer called Emmy about MY House? You're insane. Then another. Mom, you need to stop this before it ruins everything. You don't want to make enemies out of family. There it was. The family card. The last trick in a narcissist's deck. But I wasn't falling for it. Not this time. I replied to neither. Instead, I drove out to the house. Yeah, the one they kicked me out of. It looked different now. Dana had already painted the porch that horrible millennial gray and swapped Grandpa's mailbox for some steel monstrosity that looked like it belonged in a parking garage. I didn't knock. I took pictures. New tile samples on the front step. Realtor flyers in the trash bin. An invoice sticking out of the mailbox for a remodeling deposit. $12,400. Bingo. She was trying to flip it before the injunction hit the system. She thought she had time. She was wrong. That night, I filed a report with the local zoning board, claiming unauthorized renovations on a contested property. Attached photos, attached receipts, and the next morning, an inspector showed up at the house while Dana was in her pink robe, sipping iced coffee on the front step. I watched from my car as she screamed at him, watched as he handed her a citation, watched as she stumped back inside, phone pressed to her ear, no doubt trying to reach our mom. And I just sat there, windows rolled up, engine running, finally, smiling. They built their world on lies. And now, I was peeling back the floors, one tile at a time. 2 days later, I got served at the motel. A formal cease and desist letter. The envelope was cream-colored, thick, like it was trying too hard to be elegant. Inside, the message was clear: "Stop interfering, or we'll sue you for harassment." Dana had finally lawyered up. But what she didn't know, and what her overpriced attorney was about to find out, is that I wasn't interfering. I was uncovering, and you can't cease and desist the truth. I walked straight into Maya's office and dropped the envelope on her desk. She read it, snorted, and said, "This is fluff. A scare tactic, designed to intimidate people who don't know their rights." "Perfect," I said. "Let's scare them back." That afternoon, we filed a counter-motion, intent to pursue civil fraud and property manipulation. We had the forged signature. We had Dana's bank statements. Turns out she'd tried to deposit a $25,000 remodeling loan she wasn't authorized to take. And we had emails. Oh, the emails. Screenshots Dana forgot to delete from the family iPad, still synced to my old Apple account. One in particular: "Once Lena's out, the house is ours. We just need to keep her calm until the deed transfers." My mother had sent that to Dana 2 weeks before they kicked me out. Meanwhile, the trust account was still frozen. Every day, I checked the balance, untouched. Every day, I left it there, because the money didn't matter. The message did. They wanted me gone. They wanted me to walk away and disappear like a quiet little ghost. But ghosts know how to haunt. On Thursday, the county clerk's office called. They had flagged the deed transfer. Dana's name was now officially under investigation for fraudulent acquisition. And guess what? That meant the house was back in legal limbo. She couldn't flip it. She couldn't live in it. And she sure as hell couldn't call it hers. I drove by that night, slow and deliberate. Lights were off, blinds drawn, and in the driveway, her brand new Range Rover sat, booted. Unpaid parking tickets, probably. Or maybe karma just decided to show up. The next day, my mother called. Not from her cell, not from a blocked number, from the house phone. I almost didn't pick up, but curiosity wins over bitterness every time. "Lena," she said, her voice dry, brittle. "We need to talk. As a family." Family. They always return to that word when everything else crumbles. I let the silence stretch long enough to be uncomfortable. Then I said, "Talk? Sure. Let's talk. In court." Click. I wasn't out for blood. I wasn't even out for revenge. I just wanted them to feel it. The ache of being erased. The sting of being cornered. The fire of realizing the person you dismissed is the one you should have feared. And for the first time, they did. The court date landed on a Monday. Gray skies, cold wind, the kind of morning that feels like foreshadowing. I showed up wearing Grandpa's old blazer, the same one I'd worn to his funeral. It didn't fit perfectly, but that wasn't the point. It was armor. Dana strutted in 10 minutes late, heels clicking, lawyer in tow, sunglasses on like she was walking into a fashion shoot. My mother trailed behind, clutching a silk scarf like it could somehow preserve her dignity. The judge was a woman, firm voice, no time for drama. I liked her already. Dana's lawyer started strong, all fake concern and polished phrases. "There's been a misunderstanding. No harm was intended. The property transfer was expedited for estate efficiency." I watched the judge's eyes glaze over. Then it was our turn. Maya stood beside me like a lighthouse in a storm. Calm, composed, lethal. She began by laying out the trust structure, then the shared account, then the texts, then the forged signature, then the remodel loans, then the zoning violation. With every document she handed over, I watched Dana shrink an inch in her seat. Then came the moment I'll never forget. The judge looked directly at Dana and asked, "Did you sign your mother's name on this deed without legal authorization?" Dana opened her mouth, closed it, then looked at Mom like maybe she'd jump in. But Mom was frozen. Because she knew, one word now, and she'd be tied to felony charges. So Dana said the only thing she could say. "No comment." The judge leaned back, folded her hands. This court is suspending all property rights until further investigation. The deed is frozen. The remodel loan is under review. And the plaintiff, she nodded toward me, will maintain joint access to all assets until a full audit is complete. Dana shot out of her seat like someone lit her on fire. This is my house, she yelled. She doesn't deserve any of it. The courtroom went silent, and then I spoke, calm, slow, measured. No, Dana, what I deserved was honesty. What I got was betrayal. And what you're feeling now, that's justice. Outside the courthouse, reporters were waiting. Not for me. For the scandal. For the drama. For the headline. Daughter accuses family of inheritance fraud. I walked past the cameras without a word. But inside, I was glowing. Because this was more than a court win. This was the moment they realized I wasn't the weak one. I wasn't the leftover. I was the storm they never saw coming. Back at the motel that night, I sat by the window with a cup of gas station coffee and watched the streetlights flicker. I thought about everything they took, and everything I still had. My name, my voice, my damn spine. And this wasn't the end. There was still more to unravel, still more to expose. They built their kingdom on deceit. I was here to burn it down.
The story should have ended with a gavel drop. But parasites don't let go that easily. 2 days after court, I got a knock at the motel room door. Not the front desk. Not the cleaning lady. It was a man in a suit with a polished smile and a thin leather folder. "Lena Carter?" he asked. I nodded. I represent Dana Carter in a private settlement offer. I didn't laugh, but I wanted to. He opened the folder and slid a sheet toward me. $25,000 in exchange for my voluntary forfeiture of all future claims to the property and estate. $25,000. That's what they thought I was worth. Not a dollar more. Not the years I put into the house. Not the taxes I paid. Not the nights I spent repairing a roof while Dana popped champagne on boats she didn't pay for. Just a check to disappear. I looked the man in the eye and said, "Tell Dana I'll wipe my shoes with this and mail it back." Then I shut the door. Hard. The next move was mine. So I made it. I called Maya and asked her to schedule a deposition hearing. Not just for Dana, for my mother too. "You sure?" she asked. "This could push them over the edge." "Exactly," I said. That Friday, I sat across a long mahogany table in a legal office while Dana squirmed under oath. Her makeup was flawless. Her lies weren't. Every question chipped at the illusion. Did you sign the deed before the will was finalized? I don't recall. Were you aware your sister was paying property taxes while you were listed as a sole beneficiary? That wasn't my responsibility. Did you accept a remodeling loan without disclosing co-ownership? I didn't think I had to. Then it was my mother's turn. Gray roots peeking through a salon dye. Tight smile. Tighter hands. But when asked if she knew Dana forged her name, she cracked. "I didn't want Lena involved," she said softly. "She's always been difficult. Always asking questions. Always digging." Exactly. That's what terrified them. Not that I'd ruin the family, but that I'd expose it. By Monday, the judge had what she needed. The deed was pulled. The house was temporarily reassigned to a neutral third party. And Dana's loan was frozen pending investigation for financial fraud. They were unraveling fast. And I was just getting started. I went back to the house one last time. Not to reclaim it. To reclaim me. I walked through the living room where Grandpa used to read his newspaper. Ran my fingers along the banister I once painted myself at 16. Stepped into the backyard where I'd planted a garden before everything died. And then I did something they never expected. I opened the attic. Pulled down the box Grandpa left me years ago. The one they didn't know existed. Inside were receipts. Notes. Handwritten letters. And a signed draft of his original will. The one that left the house to me. No conditions. No debates. No Dana. My hand shook as I read it. He'd seen them for who they were. He just hadn't lived long enough to fight them. But I had. I wasn't just exposing the truth. I was carrying his torch. And I wasn't done yet.
The box in the attic changed everything. It wasn't just a draft of Grandpa's will. It was a map, a road map of every lie my family told, scribbled in the margins of love letters, tax receipts, property estimates, and a handwritten note that stopped my breath cold. If Lena finds this, and Dana's still circling, fight back. You're the only one with guts like your grandmother. That was the moment it all crystallized. This wasn't just about inheritance. This was generational rut. And I was the one sent to tear it out by the roots. I met Maya the next morning and laid the documents out like we were planning a heist. She stared at the draft will, eyes wide. This is big. It's not notarized, but with the other evidence, it's going to raise serious questions. Questions, I said, that I'm ready to answer. We filed a motion to reopen Grandpa's estate. That's right. We went backward. Because if I could prove the original will had been altered or accidentally lost, I could put the entire property into retroactive dispute. Dana would lose her footing. Mom would lose her shield. And I'd get the house, not out of greed, but out of righteous inheritance. Maya warned me it could get ugly. I told her I'd lived through worse. That same evening, I got a voicemail from my father. Yes, the man who'd stood silent while I was kicked out, who called me emotional when I cried over Grandpa's grave. His voice was tired, older. Lena, your mom's not sleeping. Dana's a mess. Just, maybe it's time to let this go, huh? We're still family. I replayed it twice, then deleted it. Because here's what no one tells you about family. Blood only matters when there's love behind it. And theirs ran dry a long time ago. A week later, we walked into the probate court again. Me, Maya, and that dusty, crumbling draft will. Dana was already seated, heels tapping, lips tight. My mom didn't come. She couldn't face it anymore. Or maybe she finally realized her reflection wasn't so flattering under court lights. The judge took her time, flipping pages, comparing dates, reading aloud Grandpa's phrases. Lena stood by this house when no one else did. She has my work ethic. She understands legacy. Dana tried to object, tried to cry, tried to twist it into sentiment. But it was too late. The court ordered a full review of the estate. And until that was done, all control of the property was granted to me. Outside the courthouse, I stood on the sidewalk with the keys they tried so hard to steal. People walked past, oblivious. But I knew I'd just reversed years of manipulation in one hearing. Not because I was loud, but because I was relentless. And now, I didn't just have the house. I had the truth. And soon, they'd feel what it was like to have everything they built unravel. Because next was Dana's fraud investigation. The letter from the fraud division came on a Thursday. Dana probably thought her troubles peaked in court. She had no idea they were only just beginning. The document was formal, stiff, like justice wearing a suit. She was officially under investigation for financial fraud, wire misrepresentation, and falsifying loan applications. Her remodeling loan. She'd lied about ownership, claimed the house was hers free and clear. But thanks to my motion in Grandpa's will, the house was frozen, contested, and she'd signed that loan during the mess. It was textbook fraud, and now the bank wanted their money back. All $25,000 of it. When Dana found out, she didn't call me. She posted a story on Instagram. A black screen, a single caption. You can give your life to people and still be betrayed. The comments flooded in. I didn't say a word, because I didn't need to. The truth was moving now, like a freight train, and Dana had stepped on the tracks. 2 weeks later, my mother showed up at the house. Not the courthouse, not with a lawyer, just here. She stood on the porch in her usual pastel sweater, holding a tin of sugar cookies like we were still pretending. I didn't open the door, but I stood by the window, where she could see me. She looked up, eyes soft, voice cracking. Lena, I didn't know she forged it. I swear, I just wanted peace. I didn't move, didn't blink. I just mouthed the words. Peace doesn't come from lies. and I turned away. She stood there a while, then left the cookies, and her pride. I spent the next month turning the house into something new. I ripped down every gray wall Dana painted, sanded every cabinet they ignored, restored Grandpa's study just like it used to be, dark wood, leather chair, his framed navy photo back where it belonged. It didn't feel like revenge anymore. It felt like resurrection. The fraud case moved fast. Dana took a deal. Probation. Restitution. Her name flagged in the system for 5 years. She'll never get a loan again without paperwork as thick as a brick. She texted me once. "You destroyed me." I didn't reply. Not because I hated her, but because I finally understood I didn't owe her a single word. The day I moved back in officially, I walked through every room barefoot. I whispered, "We're home, Grandpa." Not for inheritance, not for victory, for justice. Because no one gets to erase the person who held it all together while they played pretend. And no one gets to win by writing you out of your own story. Now, I write every page. Every choice is mine. Every room reclaimed. And when I close my eyes at night, there's no screaming, no lawyers, no lies, just peace. Hard one, unapologetic, and mine.